Good afternoon. I want to thank you all for coming today for this very special event as we honor Jon Cooper University Healthcare. We appreciate Governor Christie and former Governors King, Florio, DeFrancesco, McGreevy, and Corzine for making time out of your busy schedules to be here. And a heartfelt welcome and thank you. 5 minutes, so I thank you for being here. It is a testament to Jon and Joyce that you have taken time from your busy schedule. Today is certainly a bittersweet occasion. We celebrate the lives of Jon and Joyce Sheridan, but we would so much rather have them here with us today. To Jon and Joyce's sons, Mark, Matt, Dan, and Tim, and your families, I'm going to try not to be upset. We thank you for sharing your parents with the Cooper family. We share the pain of your loss, obviously, and we hope that this honor demonstrates to you how much your parents meant to all of us and meant to Cooper. This is a celebration of their lives and the impact they had on so many of us. To Joyce's sister Mary and Jon's sisters Rose and Ann, and brothers Peter and Jim, we know that nothing we do or say today will take away your pain or comfort to know how much of an impact Jon and Joyce had on Cooper and on this community. Jon was a colleague, a trusted advisor, and my friend. He was a delight to work with every day because of his quiet strength, keen intellect, and his passion for improving the world around him. I still reflect often on our conversations, employees, for Camden, and for its citizens. Joyce was a powerhouse herself as well. She was strong, witty, and the heart of the Sheridan. When I say we miss them both. It is right that the Sheridan name will forever be associated with Cooper. It gives us great pleasure to do this today. And now, I would like to introduce to you the person who is responsible for convincing Jon Sheridan to come to Cooper University Healthcare in the first place. Please join me in welcoming Cooper's chairman of the board, George Norcross.
And certainly Governor Christie being with us today. Sheridan family, children, brothers, sisters, friends, members of the Cooper family, all of you that are here today. Before I begin, let me ask that the sign dedicating this building be unveiled in memory of Joyce and Jon Sheridan. Ladies and gentlemen, this building will be visited by tens of thousands of people as part of this campus, as part of the vision that Jon set out with well over a decade ago, when he and I had a conversation about the possibility of him leaving his law firm, leaving the chairmanship of one of New Jersey's most prominent law firms, and coming to Cooper to work with me and others, some of whom are in the audience. Jon had a vision for this city, having been involved in it during his government service and his time in the private sector. virtually everything you see on our campus today, whether it be the MD Anderson Cancer Center, the Roberts Pavilion, our medical school, and all the other massive improvements that encompassed $1.5 billion in new construction and thousands of new jobs in the city of Camden, largely came from Jon's vision. Now, I'm sure most of you would think, boy, that's an odd couple, George Norcross and Jon Sheridan, partners together for many, many years. I'm sure members of his family thought, that's very odd. But somehow he and I worked extraordinarily well together. Jon had a personality, the kind that I could only hope to have in my next lifetime, because it won't be this lifetime. I see Joe Roberts here today, the former Speaker of the General Assembly, someone that worked very closely with me and Jon Sheridan throughout the many years. Those of you that are here today know exactly what I'm speaking of. Jon loved Cooper and Cooper loved him back. There was no more popular CEO in our institution than Jon Sheridan. He had that likability quality that so few people have. He was respected by Democratic leaders and Republican leaders alike. You're going to hear today from some of our former governors, all of whom he worked with during the course of his career. Among the things most important to Jon was what this city was going to look like after the development at the Cooper University campus, its downtown area. And the one thing I think he learned during his government service was neighborhoods matter, community matters. He and I worked diligently with Governor Christie, members of the legislature, to reform public safety and public education in this city. We've done things together on a bipartisan basis that are unprecedented and that are showing extraordinary results. It's a testament to what he did for this institution. Joyce was an amazing woman, very strong, very opinionated, and many times I could tell in conversations with Jon I'd be hearing her speak. I had a strong mother also, so sometimes you tend to understand where that's coming from time to time. Let me thank all of you again for being here. And it is my pleasure to introduce, as I have many times before, the governor of our state. Jon Sheridan, this governor and prior administrations. But the city of Camden would not be undergoing its renaissance today if not for our governor. Everything you see going on in this city, public safety, public education, neighborhood preservation, redevelopment, the religious and community leadership acting in most other cities in New Jersey and probably
to the event, and whether Jon was really right in what he was saying. I think what you see in this city today tells you that Jon Sheridan was right, and that as all of the other governors who you'll hear speak after me will tell you, we often did very well when we listened to Jon Sheridan's advice. And on this one I did as well. To Jon's sons, Joyce's sons, I thank you for being here. I had for your mom and dad, and how important I think it was for all of us to be here as Cooper honors their memory, but even more importantly than their memory, their contribution, not just to Camden and to Cooper, but this pavilion is a representation of their contribution to our state over the course of their entire career. As I look out at this audience and see people from all the different administrations of the governors sitting behind me, one of the constants And they served both Republican and Democratic administrations and always answered. And that is not only an indication of his love and loyalty for this state where he raised his family, but it's an indication of his heart. Someone who believed that doing well for others was one of the things that he was put on this earth to do. And he did it again and again. Have been beneficiaries of Jon's good works, of Jon's good deeds, of Jon's solid and extraordinary advice. And so there always will be a tinge of sadness in events like this, because we're no longer the beneficiaries every day of real-time love, affection, advice, counsel from Jon and Joyce Sheridan. But we are beneficiaries of our and all that they have contributed to us on a personal level and to our state. The changes that they have helped to bring about has made this place a better place, made the state a better place for all of the citizens of the state. I want to thank George Norcross and the people here at Cooper for their continuing commitment to this city. It has been over the course of time very easy to walk away from Camden and to say that this is a lost cause. For those of you who know George, I think he relishes those things which people say are lost causes, just if for no other reason to prove that he was the one person who could actually turn it from a lost cause into a successful venture. But I will say that George frequently told me over the course of time that the things that he has been able to accomplish here at Cooper would not have been able to be done without the partnership that he referenced in his remarks with Jon Sheridan. And so this is truly a team effort today. I want to say one last thing to the people of Camden who are participating in the transformation of this city right before our eyes. A city that last year had the second largest job growth of any metropolitan area in America. Camden, not Philadelphia, Camden, second largest job growth. That place that I walked into in 2002 as the United States Attorney, where we had to bring FBI and DEA and the United States Marshal Service in to lower the number of murders, last quarter had one murder in the quarter in the city of Camden. Extraordinary job by the men and women of the Metro Division of the Camden County Police. That for anyone in this region who falls victim to cancer and needs to find the most modern, cutting-edge cancer treatments anywhere in the world, they will now be driving not to Philadelphia and not to New York City, but to Camden and the MD Anderson Cancer Center here in Camden, New Jersey. Who would have thought that was possible 16 years ago? And the next wave of doctors that will serve those in need in this city and this region are now being trained, educated in a medical school in the city of Camden associated with this great institution. And most importantly, we are seeing, and the pun is intended, a renaissance in K-12 education in this city under the leadership of Payman Rahanafard and the new approach to education in Camden, which is giving these children a chance at the best education you can get anywhere in the state of New Jersey. Public safety, K-12 public education, graduate education with Rutgers and with Cooper, cutting-edge healthcare, and a sense once again that this city can be a leader not only in our state but in our region. None of that would have been possible if Jon Sheridan had not left the comfort of Morristown and the law firm he had helped to build, and decided to take a chance on this city. When someone of Jon's wisdom and experience is willing to take a chance, he encouraged me to take that chance as well. And we're here today in this beautiful setting, first and foremost, to say thank you to Jon and Joyce for the chances they took, the sacrifices they made, and the service that they gave to all of us and to our fellow citizens. So I nod my head today to Jon and Joyce in their memory, and I hope that all of you find, when you walk into this building, that you're uplifted by the memory of their easy smiles, their wise counsel, and their extraordinary service. Thank you all very much.
And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you New Jersey's 48th governor. Please join me in welcoming Governor Tom Kean.
Your Honor, thank you very much. Isn't it wonderful to see a woman and a nurse head of one of the great hospitals in this country? And it's such a wonderful hospital. I've been around for so long, I've seen it grow over time. Every year, better and better and better. As a governor, certainly to George Norcross, and I would never bet against George Norcross when he tried to do anything at all. And he made this and helped make it into one of the greatest hospitals in the country. And I think, you know, when you come to one of the greatest hospitals, people are going to look at that name and they say, Sheridan. Who is that? Who was Sheridan? And I hope they ask that question, because they're going to want to hear about the two Sheridans. They're going to hear about the kind of life they had. I guess I gave Jon probably his first big job. I made him transportation commissioner at a very young age. Very tough job. And I never had to worry about that department again. Because not only did it move and do wonderful things, but I found out that George had this quality of bringing everybody together. And he had everybody's trust. So I'm a Republican. We were sitting down with organized labor, and we were working together. And he brought business and labor together, helped create the Transportation Trust Fund, had that finished Route 55, finished Route 78, finished Route 287. Wonderful, wonderful commissioner, but beyond being a wonderful public servant, he had this personal quality of decency and integrity and a kind of quiet strength that you've got to admire. I don't know. I've known a lot of public servants, a lot of them I admire. I don't know a better public servant than Jon Sheridan. Every job he did well. So now you have this wonderful coming together of this great hospital, which Jon helped build. And at the same time, this great hospital is now going to have a memory of Jon Sheridan, who helped build it, which you might say is that great hospital and a great man, they're perfect together. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce the 49th governor of New Jersey, Governor Jim Florio.
And for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which I feel like I'm coming home. Camden is an area that I've been raising my family over the number of years. I represented in the legislature and Congress as governor. It's a place that I'm really pleased to see good things happening. And of course, it's very important to see that the linkage between Cooper Hospital, Camden, and the Sheridan family, particularly Jon Sheridan's efforts. There's an appropriateness in that linkage. Professionalism, looking to the future, quality, seeking after excellence, all of those characteristics are characteristics of all three of those entities. John and I worked very closely together in the 80s during the Kennedy administration. I was in Congress at the time, chairman of the Transportation Committee, working closely with John in his position as Commissioner of Transportation. At a period of time when lots were happening in the transportation field, particularly in the railroad industry. We worked collaboratively together to make sure that rights of way that were being given away were not given away. And with John's efforts and with work out of Washington, we preserved many of the rights of way that we still have, very fortunately, in this state. He exemplified public service with a commitment to excellence, working always to articulate, because he believed very strongly in trying to get people to understand, to come together, understand the difference between long-term interests and short-term interests. All too frequently in politics, no one thinks about the long term. John was a deep thinker, a policy person, understood politics, but was interested as much in policy as he was in anything else. So I think this has been a very good ceremony to celebrate what he represented. And we can have him as a standard by which to measure our activities. If we do that, we'll certainly excel as well. So to the family, we thank them for his contributions and look forward to living up to his standards in the future. Thank you very much.
Of New Jersey, Governor Don DeFrancesco.
Hard to get used to that. If you don't like the fact that she referred to me as the 51st, blame Dick Cody. Okay, don't blame me. And I know you do. I was there briefly, and I have to tell you, George, for that 1 year that I was there, I remember vividly that we tried real hard to get some work done in Camden, to form a relationship with Camden legislatively, and then of course I got a call from George Norcross, and he helped out a lot, and it continued through. But the former governors, and of course Chairman Norcross, and of course thank you, President Kirby, and particularly family and friends of John and Joyce. Diane and I wanted to really be here to really honor and respect the lives and legacy of John and Joyce. John and I were very close political friends for all the 22 years I was in the state Senate. We spoke hundreds of times, not only about politics, legislation, but really about life and family and mutual friends that we had even from high school. Governor Kane's decision to bring him to the executive branch as part of his team was a really good decision for him, but bad for me because he was my counsel in the Senate as Senate Republicans. He was my general counsel. So it was my loss, and of course when Chairman Norcross brought him to Cooper Hospital, again, much like Governor Kane, it was really a visionary move. I knew that at the time, and I remember both instances when they occurred, and I was happy for John, but I also knew they were getting a great guy. John was an exceptional attorney, a cabinet member, exceptional, also as a consultant, but particularly as a CEO. But most of all, he was a person of high integrity, respected and universally loved, a team player, a kind and gentle guy, a family man, and a good friend to all. I mean, he came to he had an open door to my office, not as much as Glenn Paulson, but an open door to my office at any time he wanted. So I really am happy to be here. I'm really honored that I was asked to speak among all these luminaries that we have here, and just pleased to be able to say this to the family of John and Joyce. We loved him. We thank him for all they've done, and I'm just so happy to see this, and so have so many great memories with him. Thank you very much.
I'd like to introduce now to you the 52nd Governor of New Jersey, Governor Jim McGreevey.
kinder, gentler George Norcross. Who knew, Joe? But in a special way to Chairman Norcross, I think George's commitment to this city and to this facility, this institution, will be a legacy of which he will be proud and generations of New Jerseyans will benefit. Indeed, fulfilling the vision, I believe, that his father once set for the city. To our governor, a personal gratitude for all that he's done for so many issues, not only in this city, but in helping individuals reclaim their lives from the scourge of addiction or imprisonment. Governor Corzine, Governor DeFrancesco, Governor Florio. First want to mention Governor Kane. First time I had the pleasure of meeting Jon, I was alone. No, there were a few of us. There was not quite a million, but close to Democrats in the Kane administration. And I was then the executive director of the State Parole Board, and I was being called in to the Chief of Staff's office. And I didn't know what was to happen. I know that the Middlesex County Democrats weren't particularly enthralled with the fact that I was employed in the Kane administration, and I was anxious. And I went to Jon, I said, Jon, what do I do? He said, don't worry about it. Do a good job. Don't put on any Democratic bumper stickers and you'll be okay. It's great advice. And then another favorite story is when, after some time, I was working with prisoner reentry, and I had the opportunity to speak at the Camden Drug Court graduation. I had left the drug court graduation. I was with a couple of the graduates, and I said, I'd like to see an old friend of mine. And after a few phone calls, we got to Jon's office. And Jon came down and treated these three individuals with the same respect that he would have afforded a governor or a senator. He was kind to me so clearly that Jon treated all of us with dignity and respect. Joyce had the occasion to meet a few times, and I remember her spark and her wit and her strength. I'm reminded of a recent essay by David Brooks in the New York Times, and he talks about how for many of us, there's sometimes in life two aspects of our lives: the resume virtues and what we would call the eulogy virtues. And Brooks refers to Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik and says the resume virtues are those virtues about building, success, and the eulogy virtues are virtues of compassion and service. And I believe Joyce and Jon have the unique ability to integrate those virtues, building a great edifice of service to the community, but having a compassion and integrity with George's chairmanship to make sure that it delivered on the promise. And so today, when we dedicate this building and we dedicate this pavilion will be where literally thousands of people walk through, for the physicians, for the nurses, for the patients, for the administrators. I believe it represents the best of their heart. To the Sheridan family, to continue this legacy, for this community, this city, and this state, Joyce and Jon represented the best of service as a gateway to our better angels. Thank you.
And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our 54th governor, a man who has a special relationship to many of our team here at Cooper, Governor Jon Corzine.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be standing. I want to say, George, It was a lot better taking your helicopter down here with Tom Kane than the last time I came in on a helicopter to Cooper. I did come in feet first and we walked out, but I think it is actually telling of the great quality of this hospital and the complex, and I think gets to the heart of the matter of who John Sheridan was, because he had a great vision for this organization, and working with George and all of the people that I got to know very close and very personally. It really was quite a team, and I think that speaks to the nature of John's leadership as such a great person. I said to Mark earlier, he connected with my family. Believe it or not, I think John was the first guy I saw when I came out of my 11-day of coma. So, have a vision of a gentle man who cared very seriously about the work that he did, and he touched certainly my family. And I know all of you know he touched a lot broader scope of our society than that. This is a great element of that, but as I hear the previous governors talk about what he's done for them, I know that he has had a commitment to public service, which is such an incredible gift to all of us. So I say thank you, and I know that you don't do anything by yourself. You do it because you have a partner at your side. I didn't know Joyce, but I am sure that that partnership was a lot better because of her contribution. I do want to say one thing, that George and Governor Christie and all of the people who have worked so hard for this city, it is remarkable the statistics that you cite. It is remarkable what I hear is going on in the school system and the educational system. And I want to congratulate all of those for all of the times and efforts that have been put in to raise up a city, a people together. And John was a very, very big part of that. And he certainly described a vision that I thought worked for this city and for this hospital in my tenure. And I was blessed to have him, and we are blessed for the work that is coming to fruition. And each day, I am sure it will get better. Thank you all. I'm pleased to celebrate his life.
I'd like to thank Governor Christie and former Governors Kane, Florio, DeFrancesco, McGreevy, and Corzine for their kind words today. John was such a humble man. I know he would have been mortified by all of these comments and never wanted to be the center of attention. But it's just an honor to hear all the comments, and I just so richly deserved. And now we have a special person who wants to address the crowd, and this individual is the oldest son of John and Joyce, 4 brothers, and he is going to speak with us. And please give a warm welcome to Mark Sheridan.
Not sure how I agreed to follow 5 governors onto the stage. 6 governors onto the stage was not one of my better choices. Governor Christie, Governor Corzine, Governor McGreevy, Governor Florio, Governor Kane, Governor DeFrancesco, distinguished guests, friends, family, I want to thank you all for making the time to join us today. To Chairman Norcross, President Kirby, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the Cooper faculty and staff, on behalf of my brothers and the Sheridan family, thank you for recognizing the contributions of our mother and father and what they did for this great institution. It is an honor to have this building dedicated to their efforts on behalf of Cooper University Healthcare System. It's been 4 years since my last visit to Cooper, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I was down the street at the federal courthouse being put through my paces by Bill Tambusi. Afterward, I called my father to say hello and see if he wanted to go to lunch, and instead he insisted that I come over and see what was new at the hospital. My previous visits to Cooper had been an emergency visit on a Saturday with my wife and a checkup after a weeks of overnight flights out west. So I hadn't spent a lot of time here. I was one of the few that had avoided the tour, as we called it. And I have to tell you that when I showed up this time, there was no denying the old guy. He was going to put me through the tour. I think I might have met everybody working at the hospital that day, in fact. I believe I got here somewhere around 1 o'clock, and I think I left somewhere around 6. As we walked, he showed me everything that had been done during that time and introduced me to all that had been going on at Cooper. And frankly, I actually began to buy into his mantra about what was happening in Camden and Cooper. And you know, that's a pretty big admission for his know-it-all kid from Somerset County. Driving in today and seeing everything around here and what has been done and what has been accomplished, I have to say he was right. Cooper has been the key to the revitalization of Camden, without a doubt. And there are amazing things that have happened here in the last 4 years and in the last 2 since they've been gone. I only wish they were here to see the incredible progress that Cooper continues to drive in this wonderful city. Candidly, I had a difficult time preparing to speak today. Not only has it been a tough 2 years since we've lost our parents, it's not every day that a building is dedicated to your parents, and I wanted to find just the right words to acknowledge how much this means to our family and to the legacy of our parents. For weeks I struggled to put pen to paper about all that has been accomplished during our father's tenure at the hospital. And finally I came to the realization that my problem was that to my brothers and me, his tenure at Cooper was about more than new buildings, partnerships, and medical schools. It was about more than the tour. His tenure taught us important life lessons that we hope endure with us, our children, Cooper, and Camden. My father's decision to join Cooper taught us that to make a difference in the world, you have to take chances. As Governor Christie acknowledged, my father was a senior partner at Riker Danzig, a large law firm, when he decided to leave and join Cooper. My thought, former Commissioner of Transportation and lawyer lobbyist, is going to leave a successful law practice to run a struggling hospital in one of the most dangerous cities in America. Admittedly, my initial reaction that this was one of his more daft choices that he had made over his career, but there was no stopping him. He firmly believed that Cooper was going to be the key to revitalizing the city, and he was willing to take a chance, and that chance has led to the successes of Cooper. This time at Cooper also taught us that if you want to initiate change, you must commit fully. You must fully invest yourself in your work. When he first joined Cooper, our mother had the belief that he would be here for a short period of time before easing into retirement. That was never going to happen. We knew it, all 4 boys, and she knew it deep down. But when Dad committed to something, he committed fully, and he was fully committed to making Cooper and Camden better places. From the day one, he told us that his goal was to transform healthcare in South Jersey and with it the city of Camden. During his time here, he lived and breathed making Cooper and Camden better places. It is because of his complete commitment and the commitment of so many others that Cooper has been so successful. We also learned that you cannot take chances and you cannot fully commit without support, and that's where our mother comes in. Whether it was when he left the practice of law the first time to be Commissioner of Transportation with 4 boys under 8, or when he left for the last time to be a CEO of a hospital with no experience, Mom was his support system, the one he relied on and leaned on to allow him to take chances and to commit fully. She was his closest confidant, and as many of you have ever met or know, she was no shrinking violet. You can be sure that if she had an opinion on something, he was going to hear it. And it was through her support, counsel, and understanding that he and Cooper were able to succeed. Another lesson of our father's time at Cooper, and this is a big one for me, is that it taught us that it's okay to reach across the aisle. What's been accomplished here is in large part due to George's willingness to take a chance and to reach across the aisle and hire our father. A lifelong Democrat and a lifelong Republican worked together to make Cooper and Camden a better place. So my father and George knew no side of the aisle has a monopoly on good ideas, and by working together and sharing ideas and philosophies, they and Cooper accomplished incredible things together. After so many years together, it even became hard on occasion to tell who was the Republican and who was the Democrat. The final lesson we learned from our father's time at Cooper is that to truly succeed, you must be thoughtful and treat everyone with respect. My mother and father both lived their lives this way. It became evident to us in the outpouring of support we received after their deaths and the comments from everyone we met. However, it was most evident in Cooper. Cooper invited employees to write down notes about what they remembered about our parents or a message that they wanted to deliver to our family. Nearly every message and every note we received commented on how thoughtful our parents were and how they treated everyone equally. President Kirby provided me with a book of the notes about 6 months after our parents had died, and I was struck by the consistency of the message. There were hundreds of messages, and without fail, each commented on their compassion, thoughtfulness, and how respectful they were of everyone they worked with or interacted with at the hospital. It was especially gratifying to see the notes about my mother, as her interactions with Cooper were generally as a patient or at fundraisers. Mom was not a good patient, and she was not a fan of fundraisers. So to see such nice things written about her by the people that met her during those times was especially gratifying. For those of you that were my parents' memorial, you may remember that I try to remind my children that they have to earn their last name. To Jack and Caroline, I hope you understand how important this moment is and what it says about your grandparents. Your grandparents loved you very much, and they set a great example for you. If you want to earn your last name, you'll have to try to live like they did and be thoughtful and respectful of everyone you meet. If you can do that and follow the lessons of Grandma and Grandpa, you'll have earned your last name. To our friends and family, thank you so much for your support these last 2 years. I don't know what we would have done without you. Our parents were truly lucky people to have you in their lives. Again, on behalf of my family, I'd like to thank Chairman Norcross, President Kirby, the Board of Trustees, and the Cooper community for this great honor for our parents and recognition of their work at Cooper. Cooper has made incredible progress in the decade our parents were involved, and in the 2 years since their involvement ended. And I firmly believe that if Cooper continues to take chances, to commit fully, to reach across the aisle, and to treat everyone thoughtfully and with respect, that it will have the support of this incredible community and it will continue to succeed for years to come. I know that was my parents' wish for this great institution, and I'm sure they're smiling now about how far this institution has come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for those heartfelt comments. I just thought you looked older than your twin brother. Sorry. See, I was on your side. I think to close our ceremony, there's just a few more things that I'd like to do. The first is I'd like to say to the grandchildren, first of all, you've been amazingly well behaved. And I think secondly, the commentary to your grandparents is not only all the people being here and the fact that this building is being named for them, but all the love and support that is being sent your way. But I know the most important things to your grandparents, they talked about you too all the time. They were very proud of you and your other grandson as well, and they talked about their grandchildren all the time. So please know that because it's very important. Thank you so much for joining us today as well. So first of all, I'd like to just mention two things. Number one, we have received this proclamation. Is there another governor coming? I'm not sure. today's event and the dedication of the building to Jon and Joyce Sheridan. I'd like to thank Senator Diane Allen, Assemblyman Singleton and Barkley, Assemblywoman Pat Egan-Jones, and Senator Beach. So thank you so much for this. I also wanted to share with everyone, if you go inside the door, you will see this lovely, lovely photograph of Jon and Joyce. What we like to do is to tell all the members of the family, the sons and siblings, that we have a framed version of this for each of you. So please, when we are done the ceremony, please come forward and we'd like to give it to you. So that officially concludes this dedication. Again, in closing, we were all so blessed and honored to know Jon. Some of us were more blessed than others in that we got to work with Jon every single day to receive the benefit of his wisdom, his kindness, and his thoughtfulness. It is such a great thing to be able for our entire team to every single day see this building and see this sign. Mark spoke about the comments that our staff wrote. It was the easiest thing that we have ever done is simply give out cards and ask people to write their thoughts down about Jon and Joyce Sheridan. We got tons of comments and every single one of them was positive and full of love and full of mourning for the loss that those individuals felt as well. So with that, I'd like to say thank you all for being here. Thank you to our governors. Thank you to the family. Thank you to the Cooper team and all of our dignitaries. Please join us inside. Please look at the photo on the wall and join us for a reception. Thank you so much.